know?
It makes it
Comes a time in a man's life when he gets to a certain point, you know. Yo, what's good? It's the originator Jaz-O, Marcy's greatest, Brooklyn forever, Kings County Media Group, Kings County Entertainment. I'm here with my man Panama Jack, the real radio box.
What's happening, world? This is man Panama Jack at the legendary Patchwerk Studios, and walking through the hall, man, I'm bumping into the man, the myth, the legend. I like to call him the originator.
Yeah, you know, known as the originator. My name is Jaz-O. Marcy born and bred, Brooklyn forever, Kings County forever.
So, Mr. Jaz-O, man, thank you for sitting down with me.
Not a problem, not a problem.
It's a pleasure, man. Fans for a long time.
Appreciate you.
So, take me back to like '89, man. Like when you were first putting out the first joints. You know, what was the feeling? Because I always wish I could have grew up in that era. But,
oh man, it was magical. It was just one of those situations where the whole hip hop genre of music was different. Like, you know, like magic is almost the only way I can describe it. Like I can go into it more like as far as the whole way, you know, an artist got a buzz back then. You know, it was really technically on the street, you know, and then in the club, you know, battling everything else. So it was like getting that deal, and you know, if you know any of the history, you know, myself, Jay-Z, and Irv Gotti, we went to London and recorded the album. It was just like a reward for, you know, my work, you know, and I was appreciative and thankful for, you know, and I know modesty is kind of like a coy way of being egotistical, but you know, I was just honestly just thankful for the fact that I was blessed with the ability to actually create what I heard in my mind and had the imagination to come up with things like that. So it was just magical, and like I like, to be honest, like I went through everything, you know, as far as you know, recording the album, the Battery Studios in London, and you know, everything was cool. Like we were having dinner every night with people who would just be over there in London, like Keith Sweat, Anita Baker, George Duke, like legends in jazz and R&B, and it didn't even hit me until like I had an album release party and I had it in London, and it was like a shock, and I actually got nervous because, you know, you coasting through it the whole time like, oh, this ain't nothing, you know, we're doing this, and you know, and then it hit me, you know, yo man, get ready to put an album on, you know, going through the video for the single, you got a big record deal, you know, hobnobbing with, you know, a lot of people that, you know, you're looking at the album covers, you know, the parent stuff, and aunts and uncle stuff. So it was exciting. It was just magic.
Tell me, man, from back then to now, you know, and you were saying back then to get a buzz, you had to get it on the streets.
Right.
Nowadays, do you see the pros and cons? How you look at it?
I look at it as nowadays, the artist, or the artist who has affiliates who are more internet savvy have an advantage regardless of their talent.
Right.
You know, as opposed to back when, you know, it was the street. Like if you know, it wasn't like you were okay. You were either hot or you was whack. You know what I'm saying? Right. It wasn't really no in between. You know, the in between was really categorized as whack.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So it was really, you know, you was the shit or you was whack, and that's the difference. That's the main difference I see.
Okay.
You know.
So when did you realize you wanted to be an MC? Like when did it hit you?
Oh man, it went like in phases. First, it was like my boy Eric Oliver, who lived in my building in Marcy. There used to be these cats that used to always bring the music out. You know. They shout to Frankie D, Tony G. You know, they were the main ones who used to bring the music out, like in my era. And you know, they used to always run through the projects. You know, everybody like, yo, they got the music out. They got the music out. You know, where they jack the juice from the from the light pole and get it popping. So basically, my man Eric was like, yo, you should write a rhyme. And I was like, rhyme. You know, and it was kind of crazy. You know, I was in, you know, in English, you know, you take poetry and stuff like that. You know, you write poems for homework, but it was like it never occurred to me. So long story short, you know, I wrote an 8-bar rhyme. What I know now is an 8-bar rhyme. And he was like, I forgot whatever term we used. It wasn't hot. It was probably bad or some shit like that way back then. But basically, you know, it went from there, and I started. I went to a projects in Brooklyn called Red Hook Projects with my man Ron. And after I got a couple of rhymes under my belt, and he was like, "Yo, it's like my Uncle Mango." You know, it's stupid. Funny I remember all his names, but I keep all that. You know, my Uncle Mango, you know, he doing a party, this, that, and the other. So he used to do the parties, the house party, where, you know, you in the bedroom with the setup, and then everybody's in the living room doing they do. So it's like, he was like, yo, just get on the mic and rhyme. Ain't nobody gonna see you, so, you know, if they don't like you, you know, they ain't gonna know it's you. So I got it popping, and that's what made me really jump, you know, because I realized that whatever I was doing and however I was doing it, it was appealing to like, I didn't have any thumbs down, like everything was good. So eventually when I got into high school is when I really got exposed to, you know, b-boy and hip-hop, because I went to high school of music and arts when it was uptown, you know, in near Spanish Harlem. And too late for long story short though, right? Basically, you know, I heard, you know, you start hearing like the original mixtapes was actually cassette tapes from, you know, tape from like people's houses, you know, that had set up, or parties. So I was hearing cats like Grandmaster Caz and, you know, Nicole Crush, Fantastic Romantic 5. But when I heard and of course Melly Mel, but when I heard Caz, it was just the way he delivered and his timing. It was like something that was different than everybody else I heard. Like his timing was so tight, and his vocal projection, it seemed like something either he just had that talent already or he worked on it to perfect it. And I was like, yo, that's what I want to do. Because I finally heard something that was like, yo, this is up here. I'm not up there, I'm down here. I need to get up here. So that's what really jumped it off for me. And I just went through Marcy and I ran shit with the rhyme game, like I ran it. You know, and I say that forever, and everybody who knows about it and know me, they know what time it is. And I gotta say that, because, you know, ain't nobody can say that for you most of the time.
Right. I feel you. So as far as the producer side of you, you know what I'm saying? Like, one of the illest beats to me was that boom, 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 boom. And I seen a documentary where you say you had to do it the whole time and whatnot. So when did you really get into production? Did you do some production on the first joint?
Actually, what happened, my first album, the credits go to a producer team in London, Brian Chuck New, who back then had produced a few joints for like, what's his name? That battled LL a few times. Kumo D. Right. He had produced a couple of joints for him, and my record label, for whatever reason, wanted to get me out there. But I had already, I had gone into D&D Studios in Manhattan, and every beat on my first album, I really did the beats. The only difference is that they, you know, they polished it up and this, that, and the other, and they let them have the production credits. You know, which, you know, I was kind of naive to that, you know, at that point, you know, if I had known better. But, you know, and also that was early in the hip hop production game too. So, you know, I didn't know much about that. But I basically produced all except one. Like I didn't produce Hawaiian Sophie, but every other beat on there, I basically produced like the foundation for everything, and then they just took what I had and just changed the drum sounds, which to me, I mean, as I look back, you know, they kind of fucked it up, you know, because, you know, I had drum sounds that was like kicks and snares from like records that was hip hop, and my first album, like the main thing I didn't like, it was too polished, you know, just the mix and the drum sounds and all that. But yeah, on the production side, that's what got me started. But it was a gradual thing. Like I had, you know, little guitars and stuff, you know, acoustic guitars and shit coming up, and you know, the little, you know, the little organs with the speakers on the side. So, you know, and then my parents, they were just so into music, and I got musicians in my family, so that's what started it. Like they kind of enhanced my ear for music.